Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. As part of a family picnic inaugurated in mid-July, the leader of the Law and Justice Party, Jarosław Kaczyński, visited Zbyszyn in the Mazovian voivodeship, while the Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, went to Ostrzeszów, located in Greater Poland. During his speech, Kaczyński emphasized the importance of Polish farms and villages.
The Law and Justice Party continues the family picnic actions, this time under the slogan A Good Time for Poland. Today, among others, the leader of the Law and Justice Party, Jarosław Kaczyński, and the Minister of Energy, Krzysztof Tchórzewski, visited the city's Buczyn.
Everyone, wherever he lives, should have equal chances, equal life standard, equal promotion opportunities and equal possibilities for himself and for his children. We're going in this direction. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear the new agricultural program of the Law and Justice Party on September 7th. The date of the elections has been chosen. Mr. President chose, Mr. Prime Minister announced it in Journals of Law. This will be the day of a decision. In which direction will Poland go? The direction of a balanced development, community and equal rights, or the other direction?
This is not the last picnic. The Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, is also a part of it. The picnics will be organized until the end of August. As the Prime Minister emphasizes, it is a very good occasion not only to present lists of candidates, but more importantly, to talk about Poland.
Nearly 5,000 people took part in yesterday's gathering organized by the Gazeta Polska clubs to support the Archbishop Mark Jędrzejewski. The faithful prayed in front of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese in Kraków.
Yesterday's gathering is a sign of solidarity with the Archbishop Marek Jędraszewski. The gesture was criticized for his homily, given in the 75th anniversary of the outbreak of the Warsaw Uprising by many people. Today, the Archbishop of Prague and a Cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, Dominik Duka, expressed his solidarity with Archbishop Jędraszewski.
The Red Plague is not on the earth anymore. It doesn't mean that we don't have a new one that wants to take over our souls, hearts and minds. Not Marxist, not Bolsheviks, but the one that has the same root, neo-Marxist. Not red, but rainbow-colored.
Nasze dusze, nasze serca I umysły.
As the Archbishop of Prague, the head of the Prague Bishops' Conference and the Cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, I support the declaration of the head of the Polish Episcopal Conference, and I want to ask the Episcopal Conference of Hungary and Slovakia to do the same. Also, I think we need to warn that the LGBT ideology has been extended to atheistic and satanist agenda, that's why rejecting it might not arise any social hesitations.
The
church is mature enough to say non possumus. We can't let this happen. They were aware that they will have to pay for it. I'm happy that the other archbishop from abroad also spoke on the matter, but it's more of a survivor's instinct. In the West, the church is often marginalized and it's too late for it to voice concern on this, so the least they can do is show solidarity with our bishop.
Archbishop Marek Jędraszewski explained that his words concern the ideology and not the people supporting it.
This is very duplicitous, dishonest intellectually. I'm sure that the Archbishop Jędraszewski is not a stupid person. He should be aware that his words hurt the LGBT people in Poland.
Cardinal Zenon Grocholewski also supports Archbishop Jędraszewski. He emphasized that the attacks on the Archbishop are baseless.
Poland celebrates the 75th anniversary of the creation of the Świętokrzyska Brigade of the National Armed Forces, the formation that stood against enemies of Polish independence. The brigade fought both against the Germans and the Soviet Union during the Second World War, finding itself even at the Western Allied controlled zones and liberating the German concentration camp for women in Holyszowo. Following a special verification by the counterintelligence, the American military recognized the Polish brigade as Allied forces. Today, however, the legacy of the formation often sees negative coverage by some liberal communities.
For so many years, the good name of the Świętokrzyska Brigade was under attack. They were lied about, they were to be cursed. There was an entire communist propaganda devoted to calling them collaborators with the Germans, as well as the Home Army and the army of General Anders. It was all lies, but it went on for decades.
Propagandowy państwa komunistycznego.
Był 5 maja.
It was May 5th, 1945. The war was coming to an end, but the German oppressors poured gasoline on barracks with more than 1,000 women inside. 300 of them were Jews from France, Yugoslavia, Belgium and Poland. They wanted to cruelly end their lives, set the barracks on fire. But thanks to you, the soldiers of the Świętokrzyska Brigade, they survived. In a heroic attack, you liberated the women's camp. It is said that if someone saves a single life, it's like he saves the entire world. You saved 1,000 human lives. As the only Polish formation, you became part of General Patton's army. It's you who the Americans allowed to wear the markings of the Allied forces. One could say that it's you who were the first soldiers of
Jakby
NATO.
cały świat ratował, a wy ocaliliście 1000 istnień ludzkich.
American billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was found dead yesterday morning in a Manhattan prison cell. The officials have declared the cause of his death as suicide. The billionaire financier was facing up to 45 years in prison for alleged organized child prostitution and was arrested at the beginning of July. The trial of his case was to begin in June next year. That's it for today. See you next time on Poland Daily. But stay tuned for the Poland Daily Weather Report, followed by the Poland Daily Business section.
Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Tonight, Poland will see overcast skies with showers in Białystok, Rzeszów and Lublin. The warmest cities will be Kraków and Rzeszów at 19 degrees, while the coldest cities will be Białystok and Olsztyn at 15 degrees. Tomorrow, we can expect thunderstorms in Warsaw, Poznań, Szczecin, Bydgoszcz, Lublin and Rzeszów, with temperatures varying from 25 to 28 degrees. The warmest city will be Kraków at 30 degrees and partly cloudy skies, while the coldest spot will be Olsztyn at 20 degrees. That is all for tonight. I invite you to join us later for Poland Daily Business.
Poland Daily Business. Tonight on our show's guest Piotr Palutkiewicz of the Union of Entrepreneurs and Employers. So welcome to the show.
Hello.
And we'll speak about the Polish banks, how they are doing in the time that is both difficult and challenging.
Yeah, Polish banks for the last years were in a very good situation. For the example, Polish bank PKO, when it comes to capitalization, is higher than the Deutsche Bank. So the situation of that, the biggest Polish bank, has never been so good as it is today. So that's the good news for the banking system. And the sector is in a very good situation. The net profits of that of the banking system is very high, despite the fact that there are a lot of regulations when it comes to that business.
Well, we also have a challenging situation in the economy. Well, on the one side, it's very good going forward. On the other side, inflation is growing, and will that affect the profits of the banks?
It may affect. The reason is on the interest rates. When you've got the high inflation, the inflation above the expectations, we may expect that the interest rates of the central bank will grow. However, so far the National Bank of Poland don't say that the bank will grow the interest rates. So we will see. However, if it rise the interest rates, we may expect that the situation of banks will change. First of all, all people that took the credits, that took the mortgages, will have to pay the higher
exactly, yes.
The higher rates every month. So for some of them, that might be a problem. However, the bank, when banks will be lending the money, they may offer the higher rates, and in those rates, in those margin of rates, they may put a higher margin for themselves, so the net profit should be higher. So that's the one scenario.
That's the one scenario. This government, almost 4 years ago, when they started the rule, the Poland promised that they will deal the issue of the French francs credits, French franc mortgages. These mortgages, within the months in 2008, when Switzerland decided to raise up the exchange rate of the franc, the franc grew twice comparing to Polish zloty. So lots of people were left with the mortgage that values is twice as much as the immobility or apartment or house that they were purchasing. And this was and this is still a big issue.
That was a big issue a few years ago, especially those credits in French franc was taken within the years 2005 to 2010. Since 2015, it is not allowed to get the credit in the foreign currency, the currency that you are not earning your money. So for last 3 years, no one took the credit in Swiss franc.
Right.
And that problem of the price of franc will appear again a few weeks ago, actually, because the exchange rate of franc comparing to zloty is again 4 zlotys per 1 franc. So for some of them, it may, for some of those credit takers, it might be a problem. However, when you look at the data, the loans, the mortgages in Swiss francs are being paid better comparing to the mortgages in the zloty. So it is something different that we may hear in the public debate in Poland.
Well, another issue concerning Polish bank system 4 years ago was re-Polonization. We had over half of the banks operating in Polish market that were in the hands of foreign countries. The Prime Minister even used the word foreign-owned country, referring to Poland. With PKO SA, a bank purchase from the Italian group, that has been changed, and now we're hearing that the PKO strategy started to work and they report profits.
Yeah, that strategy works. However, it is good to have banks in your local, in your national hands. However, it is always also good to have those banks in the heads not of one institution like government. However, so far we've got like 3 big banks which are owned by the government and 1 or 2 banks that are owned by the private Polish investors. So it will be good to have a majority of those banks in the different owners, not only in the ownership of the government. So well, let's
repolonize. On 2008, we saw that the amount of credits available for Polish company has shrunk from overnight because the foreign banks put their assets back to the mother companies.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I agree that it is good. It is good to repolonize those banks. However, it would be better not to repolonize them and putting in the governmental hands, but putting them in the private Polish investors. That would be the perfect situation.
Well, let's hope so. This perfect situation will occur and will continue. We are looking forward to more Polish capital to be put on the market and start profiting and spinning up the Polish economy.
Yeah. So far, we've got good situations of banks, what we said, and that investment rates and the credit issue and the credit expenditure is high. However, Polish companies are not so keen to use those credits comparing to some Western countries, to the Western entrepreneurs, and that would be good to market that issue and to convince Polish firms to use the credits, because the credit is one of the financial instruments that may help you to develop your business.
Right, and that's very wise words. Piotr Palutkiewicz, Union of Polish Entrepreneurs and Employers, was our guest, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that was it for this tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Hello, and welcome again to Poland Daily Business Weather. The forecast for Poland for tomorrow calls for showers and overcast skies. We can expect thunderstorms in Warsaw, Poznań, Szczecin, Bydgoszcz, Lublin, and Rzeszów, and rain in Koszalin, Gdańsk, and Wrocław. The temperatures will vary between 20 to 30 degrees, with Kraków being the warmest city and Olsztyn the coldest. In Europe, Rome will be the warmest capital of the continent at 36 degrees, while Dublin will be the coldest at 16 degrees and can expect scattered showers. Scandinavia will see showers, temperatures of 18 to 20 degrees, while the rest of the continent can expect partly cloudy skies and temperatures of 20 to 34 degrees. That is all for tonight. I wish you all a very pleasant evening.
Good evening. My name is Emilia Pobłocka. Welcome to a special episode of the program Gwiazdy Republiki. It's special because we're going to talk about an amazing project with a star cast. There was nothing like it before in Poland. I think it would be very hard to invite over 300 actors who took part in this project, but some of them will definitely appear in the next episodes of the show. Today, my guest is the initiator and an author of a blog about media, Maciej Budzich, a blogger and a man of the year in terms of the Polish internet. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I think it would be okay if I say that you're the star of the internet and the initiator of this amazing project.
I am the co-author of the Audio Bible Super Production project. Two people from two different worlds met and created this. I am from the internet world, and Krzysztof Czeczot is from the art and culture world. He's a producer and a director. We met some time ago and combined our love for audiobooks. We thought that we should do something that no one did before in this scale and quality.
Let's see a fragment of the film that will show us what we're going to talk about, and that is the Audio Bible. Let's see it.
O Biblii audio, bardzo proszę, zobaczmy.
The Audio Bible Super Production, the biggest radio play in Europe, starring Jerzy Trela, Małgorzata Korzuchowska, Wojciech Malajkat, Anna Seniu, Piotr Frączewski, Adam Woronowicz, Krystyna Janda, Cezary Żak, Miłogos Tręczek and Roman Kłosowski. 500 actors and amateurs join the cast and support the production of an audio adaptation of the most important book in the world. Let's meet on bibliaaudio.pl.
We learned about them in school.
Dokładnie, i to są bardzo barwne, bardzo ciekawe postacie. I teraz, kiedy one są...
Yes, exactly. These are very colorful and interesting figures. Piotr Frączewski, Jan Englert, Małgorzata Korzuchowska and other actors played those characters. I don't want to name all of them, because I'm afraid I'm going to forget about someone, because we have so many incredible actors who gave those characters contemporary sound. A few weeks ago, our team got back back from Israel. It was a weird trip because we were running around with the microphones, we recorded the waterfall sound, the wind on a desert, the noises from the flea market. We did all of that to have all those sounds in our project, to take the spirit of these places and put it in our project.
Ducha tamtych miejsc jak najbardziej oddać klimat.
Is it important for you to make your project realistic?
Tak, bo
When you put your headphones on, when you turn off the lights and play it, you'll have this picture in your head. You'll see the film without a screen. And this is our goal. Our slogan is, you hear what you can't read. There are people who don't know much about the Bible and those who know it a little bit better. But from what we've heard from some people, this way you can discover something new. I remember the moment when Radosław Pazura was reading the fragments, when Roman Kłosowski was playing a role of a blind son. There are more things like that. This is a process that is still going on, they are still recording, and we are sharing it with people.
udostępniamy je Państwu.
A przyszło za nim wielkie mnóstwo ludzi z Galilei, także z Judei, z Jerozolimy, z Idumei i z Zajordania oraz z okolic Tyru i Sydonu szło do niego mnóstwo wielkie na wieść o tym, jak wiele działał. To też polecił swym uczniom, żeby łódka była dla niego stale w pogotowiu ze względu na tłum, aby na niego nie napierano. Wielu bowiem uzdrowił i wskutek tego wszyscy, którzy mieli jakieś choroby, cisnęli się do niego, aby go dotknąć. Nawet duchy nieczyste na jego widok padały przed nim i wołały: Ty jesteś Syn Boży. Lecz on surowo im zabraniał, żeby go nie ujawniały.
Tak jak powiedziałeś,
As you said, we can download some fragments of the Bible on the internet, but we're probably not aware of how much time you have to spend to record an hour of a good recording.
takiego słuchowiska.
To godzina...
An hour? Everything depends on how complicated the sound layers are. It takes between 25, 30 to 50 hours of computer work. Production, control, recording, cleaning the sounds. This is a very tedious work, and our studio is very modest.
jest bardzo skromne, to nie jest...
Where's your studio?
Mieści się
It is located in Warsaw, in the Bielany district.
często...
To niedaleko mnie, może...
It's very close to where I live.
To jest też bardzo ciekawy wątek,
You should come with a camera. You're more than welcome.
który mnie interesuje.
There is one thing that I'm very interested in. Anyone can take part in this production. So for instance, a person like me, I'm not an actress, I live in Bielany, so very close. Can I come and record a fragment? Do you have the criteria to fulfill?
Weź udział w nagraniach i tam są dwa takie szczeble.
There is a section, take part and record, on our website bibliaaudio.pl. There are two options. First, we are raising money for this project, so if anyone wants to try, he can transfer any amount of money and send an application. If someone doesn't want to transfer any money, he can send an application as well. He can record his voice, even on his cell phone. You can find the text there as well. There are some fragments of the book of Genesis, the fall of the man scene to be exact. And based on this scene, me and the director Krzysztof Czeczot will evaluate the sound of the voice, will make a decision and invite this person to the studio. When the chosen person comes to our studio, the recording takes 2 or 3 hours. This is a fantastic process when the director tries to get the emotions out of the person to help him become a dangerous guard or a crying woman. It is amazing to see how the first shy recordings gather pace, and in the end, no one can tell the difference. No one can tell which recording was made by a professional actor and which one was made by an amateur.
To nie rozróżnicie, kto jest profesjonalnym aktorem, a kto zawodowym.
The amateurs want to get into the Academy of Dramatic Art?
Teatralną.
Czasem się zdarzają takie przypadki, że
Naprawdę?
ludzie u nas...
These things happen sometimes. After working with us, some people wanted to continue this work, and their dreams came true. What's also interesting is that sometimes husbands want to surprise their wives and the other way around. And a role in the audio Bible is an anniversary or a birthday present.
Urodzin jest właśnie rola w Biblii Audio.
Tak miały się wypełnić słowa Pisma. Podzielili między siebie szaty moje, a o moją suknię rzucili losy. To właśnie uczynili żołnierze. A obok krzyża Jezusowego stały matka Jego i siostra matki Jego Maria, żona Kleofasa i Maria Magdalena. Kiedy więc Jezus ujrzał matkę i stojącego obok niej ucznia, którego miłował, rzekł do matki:
Niewiasto, oto syn twój.
Następnie rzekł do ucznia:
Oto matka twoja.
I od tej godziny uczeń wziął ją do siebie. Potem Jezus, świadom, że już wszystko się dokonało, aby się wypełniło Pismo, rzekł:
Pragnę.
Stało tam naczynie pełne octu. Nałożono więc na hizop gąbkę nasączoną octem i do ust mu podano. A gdy Jezus skosztował octu, rzekł:
Dokonało się.
I skłoniwszy głowę, oddał ducha.
Bardzo Państwu dziękuję, że byliście dzisiaj.
It was truly a great conversation and an incredible project. Maciek, thank you very much for being our guest. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching and see you next week.
Bądźcie Państwo z nami. Dziękuję za dziś i do zobaczenia za tydzień.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we are visiting the Pawiak Prison Museum in Warsaw. This prison is one of the most famous places for Polish martyrdom during the Second World War, where 100,000 prisoners passed through these gates during the war, of which 47,000 were murdered. This prison is one of the most well-known sites of Polish martyrdom during the Second World War, with around 100,000 prisoners passing through its gates during the war, and 37,000 of them were murdered. Join us as we explore the history of one of the most brutal aspects of the German occupation. After years of terror, during the summer of 1944, the Germans realized that the Red Army is closing in. And what did that realization have as a consequence to the Pawiak prison and its prisoners?
W obliczu zbliżania się frontu do linii Wisły, w obliczu nadchodzących od wschodu Sowietów.
Knowing that the front was approaching the Vistula River, knowing that the Soviets were approaching from east, seeing the ongoing Operation Tempest conducted by the Polish Home Army against the Nazi Germans, and the actions conducted on eastern borderlands in Vilnius, Lviv and the cities located near Warsaw, the Nazi Germans decided to evacuate the Pawiak prison. The word evacuation shouldn't be understood literally. The Germans started to prepare for the liquidation of the prison in the last decade of July. Several hundred prisoners suspected of conspiracy activity and cooperation with the Polish underground were shot. Nearly 2,000 prisoners were transported to concentration camps, including 400 women and almost 1,500 men. They tied people into fives and put them into wagons without a single drop of water. The transports left Pawiak on July 30th. They arrived 4, 5 or 6 days after. Half of the people sent to the camp with the daily ration of food, without a drop of water, died in the wagons from the heat. The Germans released a group of prisoners from the Pawiak prison. They released about 200 people. They were aware that fights of the capital of Poland will finally happen, but they didn't know who they're going to fight with first, the Soviets or the Polish underground. They released those who couldn't be afraid, those who were not able to walk on their own. They released mothers and children, old and invalid people. They released people whose priority was to fight for their own existence, who were not able to use weapons against the occupiers. Just before the liquidation of the Pawiak prison, when the last transports left on July 31st, the Nazi Germans moved around 100 prisoners of Jewish nationality to the Kęsiówka camp. Only a few people who were arrested and transported to the Pawiak prison in the last days of its existence stayed here together with sick people who were unable to move on their own, functional prisoners, including paramedics, doctors, people working in the laundry room and the prison kitchen, those who had to cook for the German crew. On August 1st in the morning, the former Polish guards who were still here were not allowed to go to the units. The occupiers closed the Pawiak prison. When hearing the first shots, women from the female part of the prison, the so-called Serbia, were moved to the largest building, the main part of the building. They walled up the gate and barricaded themselves there.
Zamurowują furtkę wiodącą na Serbię i fortyfikują się tutaj.
On August 1st, 1944, almost 50,000 Poles of the resistance movement came out of the underground and attacked the Germans in Warsaw. During the Warsaw Uprising, the area around the Pawiak prison became a strategic point which the Poles and Germans fought over with great intensity. So on August 1st, 1944, tens of thousands of Poles rise up to fight against the German occupants. I was wondering during that time what happened around the Pawiak prison.
Na wieści o wybuchu powstania Niemcy zabarykadowali się na Pawiaku, ewakuowali kobiecą część więzienia, najbardziej wysuniętą w kierunku...
As soon as they found out about the outbreak of the uprising, the Nazi Germans barricaded themselves in the Pawiak prison. They evacuated women to the part of the prison that was located near Wola, a district of Warsaw taken over by the insurgents. The prison was surrounded by a 6-meter-high wall with barbed wire on the top. The occupiers found guns in the corner towers. They took them and got ready to defend themselves immediately. The insurgents didn't know about 100 prisoners trapped inside the main building of the Pawiak prison. They didn't try to take it over. Both sides exchanged only a couple of shots. Although on August 5th the insurgents, the soldiers of the battalion Zośka of the Polish Home Army to be exact, took over a camp located 200 meters from Pawiak. They took over the Gęsiówka camp. They released 350 imprisoned Jews, including a group of prisoners transported there from the Pawiak prison less than a week earlier. The Germans constantly controlled the prison and the area near the Church of St. Augustine, which they used as an observation point and an Air Force waypoint. Unfortunately, the insurgents didn't take over the Pawiak prison area. The last Pawiak prisoners were killed near the St. Augustine Church in another execution. On August 20th, after the fall of Wola, when the Germans cut off the Old Town region, when these two districts neighboring with the Pawiak prison were not a threat for the Gestapo anymore, when they knew that there are no insurgents in these regions, the Nazi Germans decided to finish what they called evacuation. They burned the prison documents, they murdered almost all witnesses of what has happened in recent days. This is when the Gestapo left the Pawiak prison. A group of sappers came in and planted the explosives. On August 21st in the morning, the Pawiak prison was leveled to the ground, the fragments of walls and basements. These are the only things that survived from the former basement of the main prison building, the place where we're sitting right now. The walls survived till the post-war years, but were demolished during the period of the reconstruction of Warsaw. The gate pillar still exists. The whole prison was turned into a smoking pile of debris. The Germans destroyed this place, but the prisoners and their families made sure that this place would not be forgotten. A year later, in the summer of 1945, the first inhabitants started to come back to Warsaw and search for the traces of their relatives. They also found the remains of the unburned documents. They also found a mute person who witnessed everything that happened here in the summer of 1944. An elm tree that grew in the courtyard near the gate of the prison became a memorial commemorating the people murdered in the Pawiak prison. They hung a wide red cross, a flag and the first board with the surname of one of the victims. Families of other victims continued this tradition. The memorial that we can see today is probably the most moving remnant of the cruel history of this place.
Pozostałość po okrutnych dziejach tego miejsca.
As we have seen today, the Pawiak prison is a place of special importance in Polish history. During the 4 years it was operated by the Germans, the level of brutality created an urge for revenge, which finally erupted on August 1st, 1944, the first day of the Warsaw Uprising. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
The Warsaw Uprising began on the 1st of August, 1944. 0 hour, or W hour as they called it, was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. But the first outbreak of shooting began earlier in the day at Żoliborz, the northern suburb of Warsaw. That encounter, which began at 1:30 p.m., was the first skirmish of the Warsaw Uprising. As the saying goes, much has been written. Was it a good idea? Was it launched at the right time? Were there other opportunities? You may well ask. The fact remains that it did take place, and the people who took part in it were brave and beautiful. In the annals of uprisings against tyrannical rule, the Warsaw Uprising is unsurpassed. For 63 days, the Poles waited for the Russians to come across the river from the east and aid them in their rebellion against the Nazis. This did not happen. History has told us why. The Russians were quite happy to watch the Poles be destroyed by the Germans, rather than for the Poles to be free after World War II. There is no doubt about this. This was Stalin's plan. The Warsaw Uprising is indelible on the memory of the 20th century. At the Warsaw Uprising Museum, this history is set in stark terms. You're able to take a close look at those 63 days of fighting for freedom. This is an experience that will not leave you untouched. It will change the way you think about history of this time. And it will remind you of what a great capital Warsaw actually is. The city that stood against one of the greatest tyrannies the world has ever seen and rose again to become a modern leading city in Europe. The next series of episodes will take you through the history of the Warsaw Uprising. Thanks for watching.
Hello everybody, as promised, we've come outside to continue to talk about the remembrance of the fighters and the victims of the Warsaw Uprising. Here we have a wall dedicated to the remembrance of the people.
Those who've fallen,
who died in the battle. And there was some 18,000, as we said before, I think. Yeah. And they're all represented here. It's not just Polish, but it is also the flyers.
Yeah.
Who
those
were
who came in with the help,
flying, as we saw with the plane earlier, with the liberators, and dropping goods, stuff, weapons, ammunition, food, everything, clothing, for the people who were trapped in Warsaw. There were British, there were English,
Canadians, South Africans,
etc. In addition to the people they were trying to help. What else can you tell us about the wall, Ola?
Well, we need to state that every August the 1st we have official commemoration here. So we have lots of insurgents who are still with us coming here. And this is the time when we may hear their testimony. And those meetings with the survivors are especially very valuable to the younger generation members, because young people live without this threat of war. Yes, they are not conscious that any day
might be their last day.
Yeah, their comfortable lives may end.
They didn't think of tomorrow. I read time and time again. They didn't have that luxury.
But we need to remember that the key message of the Warsaw Rising is that human hatred may destroy anything that's material, but cannot destroy what's spiritual, what lies in our hearts. And when you look at Warsaw, well, it was totally obliterated, yes, but it survived due to this love for homeland that those people had in their hearts.
So the legacy is, it's not in vain as long as we remember this. This is the point. If we can remember what happened here and then try to avoid that sort of thing in the future, or anything approaching that sort of thing, then we've taken the most important message from the people who died.
Yeah.
They didn't want to die, as we said before. They wanted to have a long life, and they didn't get that opportunity because they gave their life so that today, in their view, they were giving their lives so that today we can stand here and we can walk the streets of one of the most vibrant cities in Europe, which was, in 1944, non-existent.
Yeah.
So that is a testament not just to their sacrifice, but to succeeding generations' ability to build on their sacrifice.
Exactly, and never forget.
Yeah. It's important to remember that the people who, perhaps, the people who died here and died in the war in Poland were Jewish and were Catholic, and they were brothers and sisters in one nation called Poland. And they were inseparable in this way until they were divided and conquered by succeeding invaders. So I guess on August 1st, when what we remember is not just their salvation, but our own through their sacrifice. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. They fought for us to be free.
Yeah.
And we live in this freedom, and that's why we owe them our memory, yes.
And on the 1st of August, you will be
at the heart of the city, yes.
You'll be in the heart of the city and talking about this.
Yeah, it's very emotional, it's heartbreaking. And I remember last year when I was at the city centre, and it was 5 p.m. There were sirens on. People stopped, and there were all those fumes from the, those fumes everywhere. I looked back, and that at the city centre we have this huge building, the Palace of Culture and Science, and it disappeared. So it brought tears to my eyes because
in the smoke of the Roman candles, etc.
Yeah. So it made the palace disappear.
Yeah.
The palace which was offered to us as a symbol of communism by Joseph Stalin. So this was very symbolic, yes, that at least for a few minutes it was not here, yes.
Thank you for taking us around. I really appreciate it. It was profound, a profound meeting and a profound tour, and it meant a lot. I hope this means a lot to you out there. And when you come to Warsaw, you can actually meet Ola. I don't know if you can meet me, but Ola works here. She's easy to find, and she can take you around. I think it's an unforgettable experience, certainly for me. And thank you for watching. More from Poland Daily Travel about the Warsaw Uprising and Warsaw itself. Stay tuned.